I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from yourblackworld.com, and I am hanging out here with someone that I have a lot of respect for, a brother named Al Duncan. And Al is a professional speaker. He's an expert on soft skills. He's one of the leading motivational speakers in the world. He's also the founder of a great company called GreatProSpeakers.com. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So how you doing today, brother?
Doing very good, man. Doing very good. I appreciate you having me out. It's always good to have a conversation with you.
Absolutely. The pleasure's all mine, man. So there are a lot of people out there that want to be professional speakers. That want to make their money, going around and sharing a message of some type.
Right.
And it's hard. I mean, they don't necessarily know what to do, how to get started. But you've been very successful. You've given probably hundreds of speeches, at least. Yeah. and you've actually been able to make a living as a professional speaker. And you're very good. I've seen you speak. I've heard your ideas. You know what you're talking about. So what got you into speaking in the first place? How did you even get started?
That's the funny thing now, because if you ever talk to my dad or anybody that knew me or my mom, they would be like, man, we could never get that boy to shut up. That's what they would say. But I first got to speaking when I was trying to start my own businesses, and I tried a whole bunch of things, just like I'm sure people have. I tried a whole bunch of different network marketing things and things of that nature. And they used to put me up in front of the room to do some of the training. I was much better at the training than I was at selling the stuff. So I realized all of a sudden that I had a knack, and that came from being a professional saxophone player. I was very good at engaging the audience and had a lot of stage presence. So I noticed that that's where my strengths were. And so I said, I wonder if I can do anything to get paid in this area. And I think that was the easy part, figuring out that I had some talent over there. The challenging part was figuring out who my market was going to be and what my message was, and my market and message eventually turned out to be something that related very close to what I did as a 24-year-old when I went to raise my little brother. He was 12 years old at the time. And by raising him, that's when I started developing this affinity and this passion for dealing with at-risk youth and speaking to them. And so eventually the speaking and that message in and of itself and my whole lifestyle of raising him started coming together and created a good explosion for me.
Ah, okay, and that makes sense because you're also known, in addition to being an expert on soft skills, you are a very successful youth empowerment speaker, and I think that's really telling because when I talk to you, I can tell that you have this motivational energy that just seems to resonate. Even when he's off camera, this man is going 100 miles an hour. Let me tell you, but it's great, and that's why I have a lot of respect for you. Now. Okay, so when people are trying to get started, if somebody's saying, look, I'm out here, I want to do what he's doing, I want to be like him, maybe I'll go sign up for Great Pro Speakers, but also I'd like to hear from the horse's mouth in terms of, what can I do to get this thing going? What would you say to that person?
Well, first of all, I would say be careful because whenever you're talking to entrepreneurs and successful people, they love to rewrite history. What I mean by that is they like to tell you what they're doing, what they should have done, or what they wish they would have done, or something they could have done to help them become successful. They create some system after they become successful and tell you that this is what you should do. So be careful with that because some of the things I'll talk to you about right now are things that some of them I did and some of them I wish I did. I would do now if I had to start over. And and just also keep in mind that nobody has the market cornered on how to become a successful speaker. I want to be very clear about that. There's a lot of different paths, there's a lot of different styles. It depends on what your message is, what your background is, what your market is, where you're coming from, what your areas of expertise may be. All of these things come into play when you're trying to become a professional speaker because some people have an easier path by going one route than they would by going another. And that's very important. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pick on Boyce for a minute because, that's how I got started as a speaker. Dealing with my brother and coming from the whole sales and network marketing and as a business owner trying to open a few restaurants. That's how I got started. But how did you get started as a speaker?
Well, I guess we're talking to you guys like you're here because I want you to get this message, and so does Al. I was a professor at Syracuse, and the black community has a lot of PhDs, but I always say that we don't need PhDs. We need more PhDs.
Right.
We need people out actually using our expertise to help the community from which we came. You've got all kinds of experts on all different kinds of things, that could be solving real relevant problems in the community, but they're locked away in their offices, sitting around writing research papers that nobody's ever going to read.
Right.
And that, to me, is not a productive way to live the life that God gave me.
Right.
You know, I decided a long time ago, I'm not going to waste my life doing somebody else's work.
Right.
You know, because I've been commissioned to go and join an academic plantation. So what I did was, I just, I thought about it and I said, okay, how does this work? So I went and I bought some books on how to be a speaker, how the market works. I knew I needed publicity, so I read a book on publicity. And I talked to my brother, you know, who was finishing college, and I said, we need to create a business model around this.
Right.
Because as you know, like when we were talking about with Ujama deals, you know, our Ujama initiative on supporting black businesses, one of the things that I found is that when you can pay your own bills, you get to make your own choices.
That's right.
Nobody tells you what to do. And so I worked with my brother, who actually became an expert in sales.
Okay.
And he made himself an expert. You know, that's another thing I tell people all the time is you don't need a building in order to go to school. You can take yourself to school and get educated in your living room,
right.
on Google.com.
That's right.
You know, whatever. It's what you have inside. So my brother had become educated on sales. He went out there in the trenches, made some deals happen, opened some doors. I gave a lot of free speeches. And just slowly but surely, you know, as I did that, and I was writing every single day, and as the message got out and more people started to see it, they saw that I was sincere, that I believed in what I was doing, more opportunities would come through the door.
Right.
And there's a direct correlation between how hard I worked and the results I was getting. And one thing I noticed is there are a lot of people who think that success will happen overnight, that
right.
Oprah Winfrey's gonna find them in the grocery store and they're gonna be famous overnight,
right.
or you know, whatever. And it's like, no, it's not a sprint, it's
That's
a marathon,
right.
and you got to run every single day.
That's right.
So through time, each year, you know, the number of engagements would grow, and got to the point where I was able to do a lot of other paid engagements and actually make a living doing what I love and pursuing my passion.
Right.
But you have to be willing to make that sacrifice in order for anything to happen.
Right, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And you know what? So now let's take everything that you just said about how you got started, and I'm gonna take everything that I said about how I got started, because they seem like they're two very different paths, right? But I'm gonna show you how some of the same principles apply in there, and that'll give you a good idea how to get started. All right. So now my principle about dealing with the speaking industry is pretty simple. It's so simple, you're gonna be like, really? Okay, here it is. It's simple. It's a Duncan Nugget. That's what I call them, Duncan Nuggets. All right. Here it is. Be there with what they want or need when they want to buy. That's it.
Wow. Is that what it is?
That's what it is. You need to be there with what they want or need when they want to buy. Now, let's unpack that statement, because that statement, if you can really adhere to it and live by it, it implies that you know quite a few things. Number one, it implies that you know who they are. Now, that means you know exactly who your target market is, right? You know exactly who they are. Okay, what they look like, what they eat, what their habits are, what they're interested in, these things, and how old they may be. You know all of this stuff. You know who they are, because you have to know who they are. The other thing is, you know what they want or need. That means you have taken the time to find out your target market and what types of problems, issues, what their stress is, what their pain is. You know these things, okay? You know these things, therefore that's step two. It helps you out. The next thing is that you got to be there when they want to buy. That is, when. Do you know when they want to buy? Like, what time of the year are they booking speakers? Do you know where they go to book speakers? Do you know where they're hanging out to find speakers? Do you know who they talk to look for speakers? All of these things come into place when we're talking about the when. And the other part is buy. Okay, that means you know what they want to buy. That means your problems, the solutions that you've created based on their wants and their needs have been packaged in a manner that's attractive to them so that they will want to buy it. It's pretty simple. Let's go back to looking at Boyce and I right here. All right, so first things first is we started off with a they. Who's they? So Boyce was just talking about, okay, I'm a professor. I think people need more. We need less PhDs and more PhDs. Uh-oh, there we go. There's a problem in the market right there already, okay? It's a problem in the market. Number one, it starts off with, I got some academics who I feel should be taking more action. Therefore, that's a problem, and I am going to help solve that problem. That's what you wanted to do. That's part of your message. Now, along with that, you also have an area of credible expertise. That is, you happen to have a PhD in finance, right? So there's an area of credible expertise for you. That means that you can talk about economics, you can talk about financial literacy, you can talk about quite a few things if you wanted to, right? So there it is. For me, the day for me on that side of things would be, I'm talking about youth because I just got finished raising a 12-year-old, you know, all through his teenage years. And so I understand some of the problems and issues that this 12-year-old or that teens may have. And I have a great deal of expertise in that. And I also have an area of credible expertise in that because this is something I did, not just as a parent, as a third party, because I was a brother. And so it gives me a different level of expertise and a different level of credibility also. And it also shows the audience that I'm willing to step out there and make sacrifices on behalf of someone else. So there we go. That establishes credibility and trust, okay? So there you go. That starts off with the they. Very simple. Now the next part is with a want or a need. That's what we were talking about. Now we started addressing some of those things already, and you had to sit back and say, okay, so based on the problems that I think I'm seeing in academia, what could I do to solve some of those problems? And then how can I package that? And you sat down and you started doing that. And not only did you do that, but in the whole process of when and what they want to buy, then you didn't just do it all yourself. You got your brother to learn something about the sales process and to figure out where they were and when they were doing the buying patterns. For me, that's the part I had to grind in on my own. I had to grind on that a lot on my own. It took me time. I did some research. I studied. I did quite a few things myself in order to find out what was going on in the market. I read books just like you did. And so that brings me back to a very crucial point because you said you read books. I'm telling you that I read books also. Something else that I did is I went out and got a coach and a mentor. So here's the key. You got to get a coach or a mentor. And they're not the same thing. They're not the same thing. A mentor is somebody who's building like a personal relationship with you that's going to help you out. Somebody who's probably experienced a level of success in the industry that you want to experience success in that industry as well. But a coach is a little bit different because you have a business relationship with him or her. And their job is not just to support you morally or something like that. Their idea is actually to push you and prod you through this whole process and to make sure they guide you and coach you on where your weaknesses are and push you more towards your strengths, all right? So those things are very important. So you got to be there with what they need when they want to buy. And the main way to help you figure out this whole process and circumvent all that is you got to get a mentor or a coach very quickly. If you don't have one, then what you're doing is you're not taking advantage of other people's knowledge and information. And I always say that, you know what, smart people learn from their mistakes, but wise people learn from the mistakes of others. Right. And so you need a coach or a mentor that will help you out a lot with that.
Well, I like that a lot. You know, and actually people are looking for coaches. We actually have a site, blacklifecoaches.net, that has lots and lots of African American coaches in all different fields,
right,
who can help you to occupy your dream, to reach out and grab whatever it is that you are trying to accomplish.
Right.
And because life is too short to not fulfill your destiny.
That's right, I agree.
And so I want to ask you before we finish up here.
Yeah.
If you're talking to somebody who is watching now and who wants to be like you and do what you do, and you were to share things that you've learned about this game, what are the 2 or 3 things you would share with them in terms of giving them guidance as well as a little bit of wisdom to go with it?
Right, so it depends on where you are in the industry, but I mean there's some things that you absolutely have to have. You have to have these things in place regardless of who you are. I don't care how many degrees and this, that, and other, everything. None of that matters. A couple things you should know. First of all, I want to get rid of one of the biggest lies, myths, and misconceptions in the entire speaking industry, and that is this. I hate to tell you, but this is a lie. If you're good, you get paid. It does not work that way. It doesn't work that way. If you're good, you might get paid. It can help you get paid, but it doesn't guarantee that you will get paid as a speaker. And I'll prove it to you right now. Think about the last time you went to a conference, you were sitting there and you saw some boring person up on the microphone speaking, but you knew they were getting paid thousands of dollars to be the keynote speaker. Happens all the time.
I've seen it all the time.
Right, and you will find yourself sitting in the audience going, oh man, dang, well, if they just give me that microphone, I know I could outspeak so-and-so or just outspeak him or her. You know what? That's a terrible thing to be thinking, and it's going to leave you broke. Let me tell you why. It's good for motivation, it's good for your self-confidence, but it's bad for your pockets because it's the wrong direction for your thinking. Here's the deal. It's not that I know I can speak just as good as he or she can or I can outspeak them. The real key is, here's the $1 million question. What did he or she do to get up there? That's all you're looking for. Because it's something in their brand, it's something with their marketing, it's something that they understood about being there when they want, with what they want or need when it's time to buy, that you missed. Because if you understood that process, you would have been sitting there instead of them. So the first thing you need to understand is, I always tell people, build your business as if you were not the world's greatest speaker. If you are, I love you for it. Great. Do the whole talent thing, lean on your talent, that's great. But I'm telling you, build your business based on good business principles and not just based on your talent, all right? So the one thing that you have to have also is a book. Along with a PhD, any type of doctorate, anything. Along with those, the number one source of credibility or the thing that the public holds in highest esteem is having a book, a published book that's a good book that people can look at. We've been taught since we were in kindergarten to recognize the authority of a book. Therefore, if you have one, it instantly makes you an expert, and it could make you a credible expert, especially if it's a very good book. So if you don't have one, get one. You got to have your book. The next thing is in this whole internet thing and this whole web marketing and marketing 2.0, you got to have a website. I know everybody says, you got to have my website, got to have my website. Okay, but you do. It's your 24-hour, it's a 24/7 marketing tool for you. It's an extension of your brand, and it is something that's going to help generate help you facilitate your whole sales process. So you got to have a website as well. Got to have that. The next thing you need is, I'm telling you plain and simple, and in short terms, you got to have a coach or a mentor. And I said it before, and I'm coming back to that again, because without one, you're going to be banging your head against the wall trying to figure out what's going on in the industry. But if you have those three things right there, then you'll be doing a good job. You'll have a good foundation and you can get started. And actually, that's what Great Pro Speakers is for, because we help you get through these processes. We help you establish a brand, teach you what that is. We help you out with your marketing. We teach you the whole sales process. We talk to you about the content assembly line, so that you don't just have a book, but you have audio books and CD programs, and you have subscription websites, and you have seminars and boot camps. Well, we teach you how to do all that stuff. In other words, we play the role of mentor/coach for you. We help you take all this expertise and knowledge that you work so hard to get. We help you transform that into cash. And so come on over. It's an exclusive community too. I want you to understand. You don't just hear me talking. You don't just hear Lawrence talking, but you get to hear from people like Boyce, who's doing some great things, but you also get to hear from other community members who are striving to do the things that you're doing as well. And so together, we can all learn from each other.
That's right, yeah. Well, I'm excited for Great Pro Speakers. I already get it. Because the thing is, even when you're in the game and you're doing stuff, you can always do things better.
That's true.
And I turn to you because you are tremendously good at what you do. And the best way to get good at something is to learn from people who are already good at it. Not good in theory, but good in practice.
That's right. That's the key.
Yeah. So I want to say thank you, brother, for this wonderful chance to have a conversation.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
And thank you all for checking us out. And please keep coming back to yourblackworld.com. Check this brother out at greatprospeakers.com. And until we meet again, stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. I'm gone. Peace.
Thanks for enjoying another Great Pro Speakers production. Keep in mind that members of GreatProSpeakers.com have access to dozens of hours of video and audio programs on topics like email and social media marketing, branding, creating products, how to get more gigs, and other great topics that will help you to transform your expertise into cash. So visit GreatProSpeakers.com today to get started with your membership for free.